We're here at Madison Square Garden. We're waiting a preseason game with the Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks, and we got a chance to talk to one of the sneaker, I don't want to call him enthusiast or head, I know he doesn't like that, but he's a big-time fan of Nike in particular, Nick Metallinos. Nick, I know this must be a great pleasure. You come down here, you watch the games, you report on those, but you've got a website, starting5.com?
Starting5online.com. It originated, I'm originally from Australia, so it originated when I was still back home. I was covering the local league, the local basketball players over there, but I wanted to encompass everything that's part of the basketball culture. And as you know, these days, it's not just strictly what happens on the court. It goes, further than that. It goes into the music. These guys listen to the sneakers, the fashion, all that sort of stuff. So I wanted a website that would speak to people that, like me, that were interested in that sort of thing.
No doubt. I mean, did you have an interest in sports as an early age, or was that something that you participated in, or just are really attracted to the shoes and the guys who were wearing them?
No, it actually started with the sport first, and then the shoes, were a byproduct of that later on. I started watching basketball when I was about 8 years old, so about 1988, 89. Started with the Australian local league, got into that. Then I had some older cousins that sort of showed me this guy that used to wear number 23 for the Bulls, and once I saw that, I was hooked. Yeah, I was hooked. So it started out as that. I obviously used to play it when I was younger. Right. Not at a very good level. I think that's why I write about it now. But then everything, like I said, was a byproduct of that. Once you get into that, then it's like, okay, Michael Jordan's wearing the Air Jordans. I kind of like those. I wanted a pair of those. The Reebok pumps, all that sort of stuff. I had all those when I was a kid. I didn't have many pairs of them, but my parents were fortunate enough to be able to get me a pair here and there, and I made the most of it.
I got to ask, what is the culture like over in Australia? Is it big? Is it anywhere close to what it is here?
It's definitely not close to what it is here, but that's just by, the sheer population of America versus ours is much larger. But over the last probably 5 years, it was maybe the year or so before I left, and I've been here for 4 years now, that it really started booming. And now I have people that were never into sneakers before hitting me up and showing me the latest pair of Jordans, and for me it's like, well, when I was into sneakers, you weren't really into it, and now that everyone's, especially with Jordans, it's become a fashion staple for everyone, to be a part of. It's not like a niche market anymore.
Well, that's the amazing part. It's not only the designer shoes that have come out, but there's been a resurgence definitely in the last few years. What do you think is attributed to that?
I think the fact that it's become more mainstream. Especially, like I said, I've been into kicks my whole life, and when I was collecting, I didn't even want to say collecting because I always wear my sneakers. So when I was buying sneakers and wearing them and stuff like that, it wasn't as accepted. People couldn't understand, why do you have more than one pair or two pairs or whatever it may be. Whereas now it seems to be that if you have less than 10 pairs, you're not considered official. It's become more accepted. And you've got things like, there was a documentary called Just for Kicks a few years ago. There's one recently that's been released called Sneakerheads. You see major mainstream media outlets sort of, having an interest in this sort of thing. So it's really pushing it out to the general public.
Where would you like to see the culture go? I mean, there's been, I guess, a little bit of a disconnect, like you say, with the other parts of the culture, the arts, some of the music. Where do you think things are going? Where are they heading? And what are you excited about in terms of new kicks coming out?
I would like it to sort of go back to it being for the love of the culture, especially when it comes to sneakers. I find that especially in this day and age with social media, everyone wants to get a pair of shoes, they don't even wear them, they post it up, they get their likes, and then they resell it. It used to be about buying something that was exclusive and not necessarily limited, but something that not 100,000 people were wearing on the release day, something where you could express your individuality. And I wish it could go back to that, where I think these days a lot of people, because they've seen how much of a business it's become, so they're trying to capitalize off it. So I just wanted to go back to being pure for the love of the actual, the game, so to speak.
We were talking off camera a little bit about Starbury coming back into the marketplace. Stephon Marbury, who had some comments about Michael Jordan and obviously the influence that his brand has had, and the fact that he's never really stepped up to the plate in terms of, giving back to the community. What's your feeling about what Marbury's doing and where Jordan has been?
That's a tough one, because I get what Marbury's saying, and I do agree with it for the most part, but by the same time, what can we expect Michael Jordan to do? Like, he probably could have come out and spoken on the violence that has hit the sneaker community and stuff like that. But as far as making more shoes and making more accessible, I don't know how much more he can do in terms of that. I do like what Marbury is doing. I think that's fantastic. You know, those shoes are probably not something that I would wear on a casual basis. I do a lot of performance reviews on sneakers. I probably would buy a pair and do a performance review on that, but I do like his intentions and I do like the mentality behind everything that he's doing, not only giving back to the community but making it affordable, because at the end of the day they're just sneakers, so a person shouldn't be judged on his sneakers whether they cost $15, $150 or $2,000. It doesn't define who you are as a person, you know. So I think that's what Marbury's trying to say, and I'm totally behind that.
Very wise words from a very wise guy. I'm glad you gave us a little bit of your time. I got to ask you, for the kids that are watching, young people that might be wanting to get into the game, what's your advice for them, and how can they get to the point where they can actually have some relationship potentially with the shoe manufacturers?
Honestly, it takes time, and it's hard work. Yeah, I was over here 3 years before I made some connections within the Nike and Jordan brand family. You've basically got to put in the work, you know, and that's depending on what you want to do. If you write, then write, continue to write. If you post videos on YouTube, continue to post those videos, get your views up. The companies will notice you because they pay attention to what's going on out there. You know, there's a lot of bloggers and a lot of YouTube guys doing great work. Fomer Simpson, Cousteau, Nightwing, all these guys, you know, those guys set out doing it for the love, first and foremost, and then everything else came with that. But you've got to be out there producing good content, again, whether it's online or, you know, YouTube or whatever it may be. Produce the content. If it's good enough, they'll find you.
Just lastly, what can you tell our audience to look for? What's coming out? What do you know that's going to be hitting the store soon and kids could be looking for?
Well, I'm going to show my age here, okay, because I'm looking forward to Nike has done a great job re-releasing some of the 90s classics, and there's one in particular that I've been waiting for a while. It's Chris Webber's first and only Nike shoe. Now, it doesn't have the Chris Webber logo on it because he's no longer with the company, but it's a shoe that I've wanted again for a while, so that's top of my list, and that's something I'll be definitely getting when it comes out.
Nick Metallinos, we're going to be looking for starting5online.com. Thanks so much for giving us a little bit of your time. We hope to get a chance to talk to you again, and, you know, much success.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
This has been Gospel Herald and Fathers and Sons. Glenn Gilliam signing off from Madison Square Garden. We'll see you soon.